Hello everyone, this is Dave from Dave's Wreaths and Things. Today we are going to continue on with part 2 of our Woodland Ruffle method. So if you haven't checked it out already, go back on my channel and watch part 1, how to make a Woodland Ruffle wreath. So that is just a video with a base wreath. I don't decorate it. That's what's happening today. So in my last video, part 1, I showed you how to create a Woodland Ruffle wreath. Today, we're going to decorate it with a little black and white Valentine's Day theme. You may be thinking black and white for Valentine's Day, but hey, why not, right? A little something different, a little something new. We all love the black and white farmhouse, so today, I wanted to create a black and white Valentine's Day wreath with a little bit of a gnome in there. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get to that video. So in a previous video, I showed you what I used to make the base wreath. And for this video, I'm using 1.5 and 2.5 inch wired ribbon with some cable ties and pipe cleaners. And everything started when I found this gorgeous gnome wreath attachment at Lake County Treasures and this wooden black and white checked heart. So that is everything that I'm going to be using today to decorate our Woodland Ruffle wreath. Now, presently, or I should say previously, not presently, I do have a video out that I showed you a step-by-step tutorial on making our base for this wreath. And this is the Woodland Ruffle or the Cruffle method. So check that out with the link down below. What I'm first going to do is cut all of my ribbon at 14-inch mark. So I have 2 different 2.5 inch wired ribbon and 2 different 1.5 inch wired ribbon. And all I'm doing is I'm just going to cut these ribbons in 14-inch lengths. So I'm cutting this black and white checkered, and then I'm cutting my first 1.5 inch and then the second 1.5 inch, all at that 14-inch mark. So I have 24 stems, and each stem has a 1 by 2.5 inch and 1 by 1.5 inch ribbon. There's 48 pieces of wired ribbon at 14-inch lengths. I have 4 different ribbons, so each ribbon I'm going to have 12 pieces at the 14-inch mark. So here is all of my cuts made, and what I'm going to do for each ribbon is I'm going to dovetail them. So all I do is I fold it in half, I put my scissors on an angle. If you do a sharper angle, it's a deeper cut, a shorter one, it's a shorter cut, and I'm just going to cut, and that's going to create a dovetail. So I'm going to do that for both ends of all of my ribbons. So that's 48 ribbons in total that I am doing this dovetail to. Now this is not mandatory, you don't have to. I just love doing dovetails on my ribbons. I find it just finishes it off really nicely. And of course all these ribbons are going to be attached to our wreath. Now I'm going to bring my wreath back, and we do have our pipe cleaner stems still showing. If you don't want to attach any ribbons or anything, you can cut those off your base wreath, but since I'm going to attach my ribbons, I'm going to leave them on. And for each stem, I'm going to put 1 2.5 and 1 1.5 inch wired ribbon. I'm going to find my center by folding it in half. And then I'm just going to squish it up right in the center using my fingers. And then I'm going to bend it over into a V shape. So I'm just going to shape it off right now and bend it into the shape that I kind of want it to be. So I want them to kind of flow outward. So I'm creating a V. And then what I'm going to do is I will find my stem. I will open up the pipe cleaners, and then I will just insert those 2 ribbons in between those 2 pipe cleaner stems and give it a couple of really good twists. Of course, I'm laying them flat, so when I do tie it, it does go flat. And then you can just fluff up your ribbons a little bit like this, and you see how creating that V shape before you put it in kind of makes them bend outward. So now I'm moving on to my next ribbon combination, and I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm just fluffing them out before I put them in, making sure they're nice and flat, finding the next stem, and then just inserting them, and then twisting a couple of times, giving a couple really good twists, just to make sure that ribbon is in there nice and secure. And then I'm going to fluff it up and flatten that out a little bit, and continue on doing the same method. Now, what I do at the end is I chop off my excess pipe cleaner, and then I add a little bit of glue just right there on the tip to make sure that's not going to come undone. That is not something that is mandatory. I do it. I just find it finishes it off and keeps everything nice and safe and secure. And here I am. I'm just working on the inside rows now. I'm adding my ribbon, cutting the excess pipe cleaner, and then adding a little glue, and then giving it a little bit of a fluff just to make sure those ribbons look really nice. And you can start seeing how it fills in as I'm almost finished adding my ribbon now. Working on my last one, and look how full and just absolutely wonderful. I love these ribbon combinations. I hope you do too. And I just take a little time fluffing everything up, kind of getting everything ready to finish decorating. You can see how nice and full with the base wreath and with all the ribbons, this wreath just really comes alive. And to do our bow, I'm going to cut my lengths at 24 inches. So again, I'm using the same 4 ribbons. So it's the 2 2.5 and the 2 1.5. And what I'm doing is for the first ribbon, I'm cutting 3 pieces at 24 inch. For the checkered ribbon, I'm cutting 2 pieces. For this first 1.5 inch and for the second 1.5 inch, I'm cutting another 2. So it's 3 pieces, 2 pieces, 2 pieces, and 2 pieces. And this will create our bow. And again, I'm going to do that dovetail at the end, on both ends, I should say, for each of my wreaths. Or for the bow. I'm getting all tongue-tied today. Here we go to start our bow. I'm going to take my first ribbon, and I'm going to fold it in half. And I do just a little bit less out of center, and I squish it in. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how you can do it with a ruler as well. So here you can see I'm going to come in about the 6-inch mark, push it together, and then I'm going to feed that in between my 2 fingers. Again, you just take a ribbon, fold it in half. You can just find the center port, or you can measure it and just squish that center in between your fingers and then put it in between your other hand. And that just holds everything in place. If you can't fit everything in your hand, you can actually use large clips or an elastic or something to help you along. I have large hands, so it just works for me, and I do the same procedure for each piece of my ribbon. And once I'm done, I have all my loops at the top, all my tails at the bottom. I'm going to take a cable tie. Just because there's so many ribbons, you can either take a cable tie or you can take a pipe cleaner. I'm going to use a cable tie, but then I'm also going to add a pipe cleaner right through that cable tie, so that can be the attachment to our wreath. I'm going to twist that cable tie nice and tight to make sure it's secured, chop off the excess, and then what I usually do is a little bit of a fluff up, and I like to bring out those tails. So it's a nice, easy attachment to my wreath, and I don't have to fluff it up too much. But there you go. We are all ready for our bow to be attached to the wreath with those pipe cleaner stems you can see right there at the bottom. And what a beautiful bow this turned out to be. I love the black and white combination of materials. For our wooden heart, I'm going to be using these cable ties, and you can just feed pipe cleaners through them. Now, if you don't have the cable ties, you can just glue down the pipe cleaners, form them into a U shape, and that'll work totally fine. But for myself, I do love using these cable ties. All I do is take the little piece of paper off the back, throw a little hot glue down there, and then I attach them right to the back. Now, I'm going to do 3 attachments for this, and then you feed your pipe cleaners through and give it a little twist. And there you go. That's our attachments for our little heart. Now I'm going to put everything all down. And what I like to do first before I attach anything is just do a dry run, what I call a dry run. So I'm just placing everything down, seeing where I want it to go, and moving it all around before I actually attach it or glue anything down. So once I got the placement of everything, I'm just going to take those pipe cleaners and I'm going to feed them right through towards the back. And that is how I attach my heart to the frame. I just wrap it around a couple times at the back, and I do that for all my 3 pipe cleaners to make sure that's nice and secure on there and it's not going to go anywhere. Along with these little legs of our beautiful gnome, they come attached with wires, so I'm just going to feed those wires through and flip it over and attach those wires right on the back. And of course you can see the wires through. What I like to do, just because it is wires, is I like to use a little bit of electrical tape. If you don't have electrical tape, you can use masking tape if you want, or any kind of tape. But I find electrical tape works really, really well because it's a little bit of a rubbery and it's got a very good stretch to it. So what I do is I wrap the wire with electrical tape, and then it just creates a little bit of a protection against the door or anything else. I just like it as a finishing touch. And here we go with our gnome head. I'm going to do the exact same thing, wrap that wire around the other side, and I'm going to put some electrical tape on that as well once I am done wrapping the wire around our frame. Our last thing is our beautiful bow. I'm going to find my pipe cleaner stems for that, push it through towards the back, and again, attach that bow just by twisting and securing it with some hot glue at the back. Once that's dry, we've got our little wreath. I shouldn't say little wreath. This is a huge wreath. And I'm just going to fluff everything up, get my ribbon and my bow all fluffed up. I just love how this wreath turned out. It's not your typical red and white wreath for Valentines. It's a black and white Valentines with our little friendly gnome here. But I just absolutely love how this turned out. And I hope you did as well, using our Woodland Ruffle or Cruffle method base wreath. Here it is on my door, and it is massive. But I am enjoying this wreath. It's actually outside on my front door right now. I hope you enjoyed today's video because I had a lot of fun making this black and white Valentine's Day gnome wreath. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be notified whenever I upload a new video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye for now.